Buckle your seatbelt, Dorothy.
How can you truly enjoy the meal unless you know the flavor? Welcome back, ABL fans. This is Big Earl, your trusted voice in Action Baseball League analysis, coming at you with our 24th and final installment of Deep Dive 25. Watch your fingers, because we're about to slice, dice, and dissect all the nuances of this great league. A tip of the hat to the sports columnist at the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette for your witty and narrative-driven reporting. Your engaging storytelling style brings the team's journey to life for your readers. Okay, ABL fanatics, let's do this. Whether it's the Eastern powerhouses, the Central workhorses, or the Western wildcards, we're covering it all. See it for yourself. The Pittsburgh Express in the Eastern Division of the ABC, a squad that's become quite the enigma in the league. With a front office led by a seasoned GM and coaches who are tactical maestros, underestimating this team would be a grave mistake. Watch out, folks. The Express has a way of chugging along and surprising us all when it counts. If you're one of those folks who can't get enough of the nitty-gritty, the ins and outs, the ups and downs of ABL baseball, then this deep dive is for you. It's like opening a box of Cracker Jacks. You never know what treasure you're gonna find. Grab a Primanti Brothers sandwich and wave that terrible towel, because we're delving into a team as complex and spirited as Pittsburgh's storied steel industry and its iconic, bridged skyline.
Question 1. How does the owner's personality and negotiation style influence the team's culture and performance?
A steady hand at the wheel, the Pittsburgh Express chugs along under owner Jared Brown. Ladies and gents, if you're searching for a fireworks display in an owner, Jared Brown of the Pittsburgh Express might not be your ticket. But don't mistake his average reputation for a lack of ambition. This is a man with 34 years in the baseball trenches, balancing the books and the bats with the finesse of a Wall Street juggler. Personable and controlling, they say. Well, that's just another way of saying he knows when to pat you on the back and when to give you a swift kick in the pants. With a GM like Nick Heller and tactician coaches Jose Nava and Kevin Peluso, this Express team is more akin to a well-oiled machine than a rickety old caboose. Brown's goals for the season? Achieve a winning record and make strategic upgrades, specifically at second base and in the bullpen. Mark my words, with an owner so delighted yet focused, Pittsburgh's train could well be the last one standing in the Grand Tournament of Champions. And remember, a happy owner makes for happy fans. And ain't that what the old ballgame's all about?
Question 2. What roles do the front office and coaches play in the team's success or struggles? Are they aligned with the owner's vision?
The backstage maestros of the Pittsburgh Express. How the front office and coaches align with Jared Brown's vision. The unsung heroes of the Diamond, our dear front office and coaching staff. Let's cut to the chase. GM Nick Heller is your 22-year veteran at the trading desk, balancing Jared Brown's dreams with the cold hard reality of stats and salaries. Heller's got a good reputation and a personable negotiation style, much like the owner himself. Then you've got your tacticians in the dugout, hitting coach Jose Nava and pitching coach Kevin Peluso. Nava's the wizard of the wood, while Peluso's the guru of the glove, each with reputations that speak to their tactical prowess. And are they in tune with Brown's harmonious vision of a balanced, winning team? You bet your sweet Louisville slugger they are. With aligned goals and complementary skills, this team's front office and coaching staff are poised to turn Brown's dreams into on-field drama. So if the Express don't chug their way into the Grand Tournament of Champions, don't blame the backroom boys. The plan's solid. It's all about execution now. And in baseball, as in life, execution is where the rubber meets the, grass.
Question 3. How does the team's financial health reflect in its performance?
Cash, fans, and empty seats. Pittsburgh Express financial quandary in the ABL spotlight. Listen up, folks. The Pittsburgh Express is flirting with financial danger like a gambler on his last chip. Here's the skinny, a payroll that's outpacing their budget faster than a rookie stealing bases. We're talking $7.6 million in salaries against a budget of $7.5 million, all while pulling in a modest total revenue of $5.4 million. Do the math and even a little leaguer will tell you, that ain't a winning formula. Fan interest? Roller coastering since '72, it's steady at a 64. But folks, that's not filling the seats, only 74.45% full on average. In the words of a wise man, Moneyball this ain't. If the Express doesn't figure out how to turn loyalty into lucre, they'll be chugging on fumes instead of racing for the Grand Tournament of Champions. As it stands, the only thing this team is buying is a one-way ticket to financial peril.
Question 4. How has fan interest evolved over time, and what does it mean for the team's revenue and player acquisitions?
A fan's fickle heart. How Pittsburgh Express's roller coaster of fan interest spells trouble for the till and the turf. The Pittsburgh Express, a team that's seen fan interest rise and dip like a curveball that can't make up its mind. Starting off with a lukewarm 51 and 72, the fans got all hot and bothered with a 75 peak in 75, only to cool their heels in the 60s for the following years. So what's it mean for the coin purse and the clubhouse? A gate revenue that's less than $500,000 in season ticket sales shy of $2 million tell you they're not exactly printing money over at Express HQ. Low fan turnout is like a rain delay on revenue, affecting not just ticket sales but hot dogs, jerseys, and even media attention. And let's not kid ourselves, in the ABL, media money talks. Now, how about luring in the big bats and golden arms? Forget about it. With a payroll already exceeding their budget, the Express isn't making anyone's top 10 list of dream teams. Unless they find a way to rekindle that fan flame, they risk becoming the ABL's farm system for greener pastures. It's high time the Express decides if they're the main attraction or just the opening act.
Question 5. What is the current mood among the fan base, and how could it impact the team in the short term?
The pulse of Pittsburgh. How a lukewarm fan base could tip the scales for the Express. The ever-fluctuating mood of the Pittsburgh Express fans, a barometer that's currently reading cautiously optimistic. Now, don't get me wrong, the stadium's not bursting at the seams. It's about 74.45% full, to be exact. But with a small uptick in fan interest over the last 30 days, there's a whiff of hope in the air. This is no mere fluff, ladies and gents. It affects the turnstiles, player morale, the suits in the front office, and even the brand names slapped on the outfield walls. Moderate ticket sales mean moderate revenue, and a half-enthused crowd can still give players that extra zip on a fastball or that added focus at the plate. It's also just enough to make the front office think twice before shipping off talent or tightening purse strings. Even sponsors might glance twice at a team that shows even a hint of rekindled fan love. It's like finding a $20 bill in an old coat. Might not change your life, but it sure makes your day better. The big question now is, can the Express capitalize on this whiff of fan enthusiasm, or will it dissipate like a foul ball into the stands? In the cutthroat ABL, you used every advantage you can get, and right now, the Express has a glimmer of one.
Question 6. How is the team faring in the league standings, and what factors are contributing to their performance?
On the ropes or primed for a comeback? Pittsburgh Express's rocky start in the ABL standings. Hold on to your scorecards, folks. The Pittsburgh Express is in a bit of a pickle. Sporting an 8-11 record and a win percentage that's wobbling at .421, they're 3 games back in the American Eastern Division. Now, don't go blaming it all on tough opponents. Their strength of schedule is a decent .529. The home crowd gets some cheers with a 6-7 record, but take this team on the road, and it's more of a detour than a victory lap at 2-4. Late innings? Might as well call them the heartbreak innings with a 0-2 record in extras and a measly 3-2 in one-run games. The run differential is a cringeworthy -12, and though they're on a 2-game winning streak, they're an even 5-5 in their last 10. As one Express coach muttered, turning around those away games and tight finishes is the ticket to a season worth remembering. So is the Express down for the count or just gathering steam? In baseball, you're only as good as your next game, and for Pittsburgh, it's high time for a turning point.
Question 7. What are the team's odds of making the playoffs on a divisional and conference level?
Rolling the dice, Pittsburgh Express's slim odds for a playoff berth. Listen, folks, if you're a betting man or woman, the Pittsburgh Express might not be your safest wager this season. A league best record chance at a skimpy 1.6%? That's less likely than a snowball's chance in July. Oh, and let's talk divisional playoffs. A 27.4% probability isn't exactly a slam dunk. But lo and behold, the overall conference level odds give a glimmer of hope at 34.4%. Still, let's not kid ourselves. In the high-octane world of the ABL, that's not much more than a coin flip. Bottom line, the Express needs to string together some wins faster than you can say Grand Tournament of Champions, or else they'll be watching it on the tube like the rest of us mere mortals.
Question 8. How do base runs and ELO ratings paint the picture of the team's true strengths and weaknesses?
Chugging to a halt, base runs and ELO ratings expose Pittsburgh Express's underbelly. Let's cut to the chase. Base runs and ELO ratings are painting a bleak picture for the Pittsburgh Express, and it ain't a Monet. They've scored 73 runs, but should have tallied up 85. They've allowed 85, but the expected runs allowed was just 74. In layman's terms, they're leaving runs on the table while handing them out to opponents like free peanuts. If that doesn't set off alarms, their ELO rating should. Currently clocking in at 1,503.7, they've taken a nosedive of 29.3 points in 30 days. It's like watching a stock plummet, only you can't sell the team. Folks, these aren't just numbers, they're the smoke signals of a team in decline. Offensively inept, defensively porous, and consistently underperforming against the competition, this express train needs a new conductor, or it risks going entirely off the rails.
Question 9. What does the team's WAR indicate about its most valuable players?
Untapped potential. The WAR tells the tale for the Pittsburgh Express. Folks, if you're scratching your head over the Pittsburgh Express's middling season, look no further than their WAR figures to get the skinny. With a batter WAR of 2.3 and a pitcher WAR of 2.4, it's clear as day that this isn't a case of one side carrying or sinking the team. The equal contribution, or lack thereof, tells you that the Express has talent on both sides of the ball, but they're squandering it like a rookie gambler in Vegas. Here's the kicker, their wins minus WAR sits at a measly 3.3. That's how many games they'd win without their key contributors, and let me tell you, that's not a number you write home about. So, the talent is there. What's missing is the execution. The Express better figure out how to fully leverage their most valuable players, or they'll find themselves as forgotten as yesterday's box scores.
Question 10. How have injuries impacted the team's performance and depth?
Injuries, a smaller but significant roadblock for the Pittsburgh Express. Alright, ABL aficionados, let's talk nicks and bruises, specifically the Pittsburgh Express's injury woes. Now, with just a duo on the DL, you might think it's no big whoop. But hold your horses, because those 28 days on the disabled list and $23,000 sidelined aren't pocket change or calendar filler. Sure, it's not an emergency room's worth of injuries, but it's enough to make you realize this team's depth chart isn't as deep as you'd hope. These injuries haven't derailed the Express, but they've certainly thrown some pebbles on the tracks. In a league where every game counts, a month without your full roster can feel like an eternity. Pittsburgh, you've been warned, it's time to invest in some bubble wrap in depth, or you'll be watching the Grand Tournament of Champions from the best seats in the house, your own couches.
Question 11. What do the team's batting statistics reveal about its offensive capabilities?
A glimpse at the Express's offense, not quite a home run, but far from a strikeout. Alright, gather round, ABL diehards. If you're trying to size up the Pittsburgh Express's batting prowess, let me cut to the chase. They're the jack of all trades, but master of none. A .276 average? Respectable. But in the ABL, respectable doesn't cut the mustard. They've got a smidgen of power with 13 dingers, but their isolated power at 117 tells you they're not exactly the Bash Brothers. Now, give them credit for plate discipline. A balanced K% and BB% shows they know their way around a strike zone. But let's talk turkey. 73 runs from 744 plate appearances? That's like leaving money on the table, folks. And don't get me started on those 24 ground into double plays. Sure, they've got legs with 4 triples and 27 doubles, but they seem to have 2 left feet when it really counts. Bottom line, the Express can hit, but they've yet to hit their stride. It's high time they turn those singles into runs and those plate appearances into celebrations, or else they'll keep playing second fiddle in this orchestra of baseball elites.
Question 12. How does the pitching staff stack up against divisional and conference competition?
Pittsburgh's mound men, teetering between adequacy and mediocrity. Listen up, armchair managers and ABL aficionados. Let's talk about Pittsburgh's men on the mound. They're hanging in there with an ERA of 4.25 and a FIP of 4.06. Not setting the world on fire, but they're not the dumpster fire some of you armchair critics make him out to be either. They've tallied up 121 strikeouts, but a strikeout rate of 16.7%? That's like bringing a pocket knife to a gunfight. And those 60 walks, they're practically rolling out the red carpet for opponents to trot around the bases. Sure, they're inducing ground balls at a rate of 56.4%, but what's the point if they leave the runners on base 69.8% of the time? They've got to tighten up, especially on the long ball. 15 homers allowed isn't something you boast about at the local watering hole. In a nutshell, they're the epitome of middle of the road, the definition of meh, and if they don't find that extra oomph soon, they'll remain the lukewarm underbelly of a team yearning for a hot streak.
Question 13. Are the team's fielding statistics a strength or a weakness?
Pittsburgh's fielding, a tale of mediocre mitts and muddled metrics. The Pittsburgh Express's fielding, a story not of highs and lows, but of flat lines and shoulder shrugs. With a total zone rating meandering at 1.23 and a defensive efficiency of 0.71, they're not exactly the 27 Yankees out there. And don't get me started on their 11 errors and 17 double plays. It's like watching a high-wire act where the performer neither falls nor dazzles. The outfield? Well, they've got arms, tallying 5 assists over 513 innings, but it's not enough to write a love song about. Their runners thrown out percentage at 33.33% is like a glass of room temperature water, palatable but not refreshing. And let's talk about the base paths, 10 stolen bases allowed out of 15 attempts. That's like giving away free samples of runs. So, is their fielding a strength? Absolutely not. A weakness? Not quite. It's in that precarious zone of mediocrity that begs for improvement lest it become a liability.
Question 14. What do base running stats say about the team's tactical approach?
The Pittsburgh Express, off track and out of steam on the base paths. The Pittsburgh Express's base running, a Shakespearean tragedy in cleats and stirrups. With a paltry 6 stolen bases and a success rate that would make even a rookie blush, 46.2%, folks, they're not exactly setting the base paths on fire. It's like trying to rob a bank and getting stuck in the revolving door. And let's not sidestep that atrocious weighted stolen bases of minus 1.05. It's as if they're trying to invent new ways to shoot themselves in the foot. Sure, they've got 131 singles and 75 walks, but what's the point if you're just going to stand there like a deer in headlights? In the grand scheme of the ABL, the Express's base running isn't just a weakness, it's a self-inflicted wound that's bleeding runs and costing games. Time for a tactical overhaul, unless they fancy the view from the bottom of the standings.
Question 15. Who are the standout performers in batting, and what do their stats reveal?
Pittsburgh's Three Musketeers, a glimmer of hope in a season of struggles. Ladies and gents, if you're looking for a silver lining in the Pittsburgh Express's playbook, keep your eyes peeled for Luis Sanchez, Jonathan Green, and Tony Villalta. Sanchez, the 28-year-old first baseman, is a firecracker with 6 home runs in 19 games, though his on-base antics could use some jazzing up. Green, another first baseman at age 30, is the guy you'd bet your last dollar on. With a scorching .370 average and a .441 OBP, he's as reliable as your grandma's meatloaf. His WAR of 0.74? That's the resume of an MVP in the making. Then there's Villalta, the 29-year-old right fielder, who may not be a home run king but knows how to get to first base. Solid OBP, decent ISO, and a WAR that says, hey, don't overlook me. Now, these lads can't carry the team alone, but if the Express has any dreams of grandeur, they'll need this trio to keep the hits coming and the bases warm.
Question 16. Who are the key figures in the pitching staff, and how do they influence games?
The three-armed bandits, pitching prowess and pitfalls in the Pittsburgh Express. If you're searching for the linchpin of the Pittsburgh Express, look no further than David Acuna. The 25-year-old is the star of the show with a 2.73 ERA and a WAR that's off the charts at 1.11. The guy's a surgeon on the mound, cutting through lineups with a 7.52 strikeouts per 9. Then there's Demario Rodriguez, a pitcher whose 6.05 ERA belies his potential. His 3.40 FIP and 8.69 strikeouts per 9 suggest he's been snake-bitten by bad luck more than bad pitching. Finally, we've got Jorge Cruz, another 25-year-old who's neither a saint nor a sinner with a middle-of-the-road ERA of 4.15. What's the moral of the story? Acuna's the ace, Rodriguez needs a lucky charm, and Cruz is dependable but not dazzling. It's clear as day, if the Express want to make some noise this season, they'll need more than Acuna's arm to pull them through.
Question 17. Who excels in base running and fielding, and how do they impact the game's outcome?
Diamond Wizards, the unsung heroes of base running and fielding in Pittsburgh. The unsung virtues of baseball, base running and fielding. In Pittsburgh, it's Jonathan Green and Tony Villalta stealing bases like they're swiping cookies from a jar, 100% success rate for both. And don't sleep on Daniel Vega, one stolen base, but he's no slouch when it comes to picking his moments. On the flip side, it's Villalta again, this time as the sentinel of right field with a zone rating that says not in my house. Roberto Valderrama behind the plate is nearly as secure, a fortress with a few chinks in the wall, while Luis Hard in center holds his own, missing nothing that comes his way. So, while they might not make the nightly sports highlight reel, these guys are the under-the-radar MVPs who can flip the script of a game faster than you can say double play.
Question 18. What does the team's age demographic reveal about its experience and future potential?
The Age of Enlightenment, a glimpse into Pittsburgh Express's past, present, and future. The Express, a team straddling the line between sage wisdom and youthful verve. With a major league roster averaging around the big 2-9, they've got enough old hands to guide the ship and enough young bucks to keep things lively. Drop down to AAA, and it's a geriatric convention among the pitchers, averaging over 33 years. Experience? Sure. But let's hope they've got more left in the tank than just stories of the good old days. Slide over to AA, and you've got the kiddos, especially among the batters, averaging a spry 24 and change. These are tomorrow's headlines, folks. And at the A level, even younger arms ready to fire at just 23.5 years on average. So, whether it's the veterans steadying the course or the youngsters getting to make their mark, the Express seems to have a roster built not just for today, but also for a promising tomorrow.
Question 19. Who has had the best batting and pitching games, and what do these performances signify for the team?
A tale of two halves, Pittsburgh Express's Jekyll and Hyde act in 1981. In the world of baseball, a standout performance can be as electrifying as a grand slam in the bottom of the ninth or as awe-inspiring as a no-hitter into the late innings. For the Pittsburgh Express, those moments of brilliance come courtesy of a few key players. On the batting side, Eric Velasquez and Luis Sanchez have been the names to watch. Velasquez's 4-hit, for RBI game against Portland was a clinic in contact hitting, while Sanchez flexed his muscles with a pair of homers in the same matchup and continued to dazzle against New York. On the mound, David Acuna is the undisputed ace, with two 9-inning gems that should be framed and put on the wall. Let's not overlook Jorge Cruz, who threw a near-perfect game with only one hit allowed over 7 innings. These performances aren't just stats, they're loud and clear statements that the Express has the individual talent to shake things up. The big question, of course, is whether these flashes of brilliance can translate into consistent team success as the season progresses and the Grand Tournament of Champions looms.
Question 20. What does your gut tell you about this team in the 1981 championship season and the Grand Tournament of Champions?
Riding on hope, the Pittsburgh Express quest for consistency in 1981. Baseball aficionados, lend me your ears. The Pittsburgh Express of 81 are riddle wrapped in a diamond. They're perched precariously between potential and pitfall, with David Acuna's arm looking golden but the rest of the pitching staff searching for the Midas touch. The bats of Jonathan Green and Eric Velasquez are thunderous, yet without a chorus, a solo can't carry the symphony. They're scrappers, middle of the division, but in a league that's tighter than a drum, it's consistency they crave, not just fleeting moments of glory. As for the Grand Tournament of Champions, they're long shots, outsiders, dark horses at best. Yet, if the baseball gods smile upon them and momentum swings their way, they just might pen a Cinderella story. But let's not count our home runs before they hatch. This team is simmering with promise, yet championships aren't won on potential alone. They're a hop, skip, and a jump from contention. If they catch fire, the league had best watch out.
Question 21. What is the team's history in the Grand Tournament of Champions?
The rise, fall, and stumble. Pittsburgh Express's roller coaster ride in the G2C. Nostalgia, that fickle mistress. You see, the Pittsburgh Express is like that rock band that had a couple of chart toppers in the 70s but can't seem to get back on the charts. They were the kings of the American Baseball Conference in 74 and 75, beating the likes of the St. Louis Stallions and the Denver Rocketeers, and even the New York Aces. But they choked when the spotlight was brightest, falling to the Miami Hurricanes and the Phoenix Firebirds in the Grand Series. Fast forward to the tail end of the 70s and the dawn of the 80s, and they're more like one-hit wonders trying to stage a comeback. Eliminated in the division series by Seattle in 79 and dismantled by Las Vegas in 80, it's clear the Express has lost its steam. The takeaway? They were once a whisker away from being legends, but are now just another team trying to find its way back to the glory days.
Question 22. What is the team's history in previous seasons?
A decade of peaks and valleys, charting Pittsburgh Express's ABL Odyssey. If the Pittsburgh Express were a song, it'd be a country ballad about lost love and fleeting glory. They kicked off in 72 like a garage band, low attendance and a so-so record. But come 74 and 75, baby, they were rock stars, top of the charts with conference titles, though they choked on the grand stage. Then the hangover sets in, a decline into the late 70s, even going red in the ledger. They tried a comeback, made the playoffs in 79 and 80, but no cigar. Attendance and payroll danced to the tune of their performance, but the championships column? Still waiting for its first entry. Now, here we are, 1981, and it's a slow start. Will they find their rhythm again? The tale of the tape suggests a band that knows a few hit tunes but can't quite string together a platinum album.
Question 23. What's your take on last season?
The 1980 Pittsburgh Express, a tale of almosts and what-ifs. The 1980 Pittsburgh Express, a team that flirted with destiny but got cold feet at the altar. They muscled their way to a 90 and 72 record, a division title, and a coveted spot in the Grand Tournament of Champions. With bats that averaged .251 and an ERA of 3.84, they weren't just making up the numbers, they were contenders. But just when you thought they'd go the distance, they got sent packing by the Las Vegas Gamblers in a playoff heartbreaker. The fan turnstile spun like a top with over $1.7 million through the gates, and the front office wasn't pinching pennies either, boasting a payroll north of $5.7 million. Financially, the ledger was black, but on the field, it was a season colored by the gray hues of what could have been.
Question 24. How does what happened in the 1980 season reflect on the 1981 early campaign?
The ghost of 1980, looming large over Pittsburgh's 1981 campaign. The early 1981 season for the Pittsburgh Express is like reading last year's diary, full of expectations but tinged with a bit of regret. After a robust 90 and 72 run last year, you'd think the Express would be steaming ahead. Not so fast. They're sputtering at 8 and 11, sitting fourth in the division, and their pitching, once a point of pride with a 3.84 ERA, has ballooned to 4.25. But don't toss your peanuts in Cracker Jack just yet. The bats are humming at a .276 average, a jump from last year's .251. What's missing are the W's. Financially, the cushion from last year's successful run should give the front office some elbow room to tinker. And they'd better. The fans are restless, waiting for a sequel to last year's playoff drama. Yes, 1981 isn't 1980, but it's still written in pencil, not ink. Time to rewrite the script, Express.
Question 25. What is your take on the current roster?
The 1981 Express, a mixed bag on the fast track or a slow train to nowhere? Folks, the 1981 Pittsburgh Express are like a mystery novel you can't put down, each chapter raising more questions than answers. On the mound, David Acuna is shaping up to be the ace with a sharp 2.73 ERA, but the rest of the rotation is wobbly at best. Omar Ramirez and Doug Farmer are reeling with ERAs north of 6, and let's not forget, Ramirez is nursing back spasms. The bullpen? Alex Dunlap needs to put the closer back in his title. Now, on the flip side, the lumber looks lively. Jonathan Green and Eric Velasquez are swinging like they're in a home run derby. But don't get too cozy. Injuries have boarded this express train, with Juan Torres and Mauricio Avila out for extended stays. All this while Roberto Valderrama is holding court behind the plate like a seasoned judge. Compared to their solid 1980 outing, the pitching has gone south, but the bats seem to have found their North Star. Still, with a shaky rotation and a triage unit growing by the day, this Express team is at a crossroads. They've got the pieces, the puzzle is putting them together. Well, there you have it. Your up-close and personal deep dive into the Pittsburgh Express. We've dissected their strengths, weaknesses, and everything in between. We've peeked into the owner's suite, dug into the dugout, and even scoped out the fans in the bleachers. And let me tell you, what a ride it's been. Like a well-pitched game, we've covered all the bases. But remember, baseball is a game of unpredictability. Just when you think you've got it figured out, it throws you a curveball. The Pittsburgh Express, a squad that once steamed through the championship season like a locomotive at full throttle, but in the Grand Tournament of Champions, they've often derailed just shy of the final destination. Will they manage to stoke the fires of their former glory and barrel down the tracks to triumph, or are they fated to be a nostalgic memory in the ABL's storied history? The Express tale is far from over, and the next chapter promises to be a page-turner. Big Earl here, folks. Keep your eyes peeled for future reports as we navigate through the twists and turns of another gripping ABL season. So, whether you're a fan of the Express or just love the game, the best is yet to come. Until next time, this is the game. See it for yourself.
Unfortunately, no one can be told what the Matrix is. You have to see it for yourself.
See it for yourself.
How would you know the difference between the dream world and the real world? You take the red pill, you stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.